Do you think we are currently in the phase of weak leadership?
It's a very dark world. I think we have very dark model of leadership right now, taking the lead and being stronger, louder than the rest. When girls see the type of alpha male, dominating, unethical, lying, personal egos driving the agenda, they're like, well, surely I'm not a leader because I'm not like him. One of the main things that's holding girls and women back is that we want to be perfect. But meanwhile, boys fall and come back down and get messy on football pitches. And we need to sort of go out and do collective sports and learn that it's okay to fall and crash and burn and then just get back up. It's not like I'm kind of advocating for women to be alone and that's it. No, like we need to rise together. A lot of people think that they can't be leaders because they don't come from wealth. They don't come from families where the parents were entrepreneur or successful businessman or CEOs, and they think, well, I didn't have that, so it's coded in me, I don't have it. A football skill, you don't know how to dribble when you're born, you learn. Same for leadership, it's trainable. So regardless of your background, if you're listening, you can make it, you can be a leader. Leaders are made.
Gaëlle Deschamps from G-Force. Welcome to Brands and Leaders.
Thank you, Radu. I'm excited to be here with you.
Well, you're a power woman, as I like to call you, even when I talk to my wife. You feel like you're full of energy and you've got everything going on right. I mean, I don't know how it's behind the scenes. We're going to talk about that because obviously you're dealing with a lot. But before we get into that, tell us a bit about yourself and, your background.
Great. I'm glad that you call me a power woman. I like it because you know what? I'll tell you a secret. My childhood fantasy, the woman that I was looking up to was Wonder Woman. And I always wanted to be like her, like to be able to do everything and to look great and to sort of do the impossible. So thank you for that compliment. It goes very far for me.
But I think it suits you well with what you do as well. We're going to dwell more into it, but I think it just suits you well.
Yes. So I'm Gaëlle Deschamps, as you said. You can clearly say and see it. I'm French. And I like to describe myself as a fan of women empowerment. I like to make a difference and help close the gender gap. I like to create authentic, confident leaders. I like to help create the next generation of leaders so that we can make this world a better place, because I do think we have a bit of a crisis going on and we need people to step in their powers and dare to make a difference. What else about me? I have 23 years of corporate experience. So I have worked with massive companies, global businesses, which I guess was also my childhood dream. Working for both L'Oréal, which is a French company of kind of cosmetic, and also Coca Cola, and working with big teams around the world on big budgets and marketing and international, lots of traveling. So that was all wonderful. And then I became a mother and I've got 3 kids now. And I thought, ooh la la, I need to cool off a bit and stay put. So I
priorities have shifted.
Yes, but I still was, really hungry and ambitious, but I just wanted to not travel as much. So then I worked on innovation, and then slowly I changed the dial into more learning and development and creating leadership content and delivering leadership content at Coca Cola inside. And then I qualified to become an executive coach for high potential women. And then 4 years ago, I decided to take the leap of faith and become an entrepreneur. So I created G-Force, which is my company, which is dedicated to, empowering leaders, training leaders, coaching leaders in all sorts of ways. I host TEDx events. But yeah, so I guess in a nutshell, that's me. What else? On a personal level, I love dancing. It gives me energy. I love yoga. I love cycling. I love anything that's beautiful. So here I'm really spoiled in Jersey because I just gorge on the sea views and the sand and the beaches and the
It's
the
easy to
cliffs
fall in love with everything.
and
That's
nature.
here.
Yeah, I get a lot from that. So I definitely am lucky and love it here.
But how did you find the transition between the corporate world? Obviously, that was your dream to begin with. But then after that, as family came along and you thought, you want to live life, I guess, in your own way. how did you find that transition, to moving into a business that you are fully responsible of? Because I'm about to make that step and it feels scary. And I'm sure like probably other people are in the same situation. And how is that? What are the feelings?
So it's funny that you say that, because I think we all receive a different type of education, a conditioning. And my conditioning growing up was my granddad and my dad were entrepreneurs, and it was very much like that. So my grandmother and my mother were the reasonable ones, saying, look what the boys have done. Don't go and do that. So I've received all my childhood, don't become an entrepreneur. It's dangerous. You can lose it all. You can win it all. So I guess that influenced me for a long time. And that's why I was thinking the corporate would guarantee me a secure position, a great salary, a great lifestyle. So I went and did the good girl thing. I listened to the voices of my family and my conditioning. And it's only when I turned 40 that I started having these very existential questions in my head, like, is there more? Am I meant to be doing something else? Who am I? What is my purpose? What is my positive impact on the planet? Surely it's more than just making money and selling a drink. Like it felt like it was great, but I felt there was more. So that was the first kind of little voice that was a signal. But then I couldn't quite act on it. It took me a while. It took me 6 years from the little voice to actually unplugging. So that was the first transition, was the path, actually did nothing, but it sort of matured in my head. And I started looking at life with this new filter of, could I be an entrepreneur? What would it take? What would I do? All these big questions are a bit scary. Could I make a living? All these things. And then I summoned up the guts to ask for a sabbatical. At Coca Cola, no one had sabbatical. And I thought, maybe I need time away from it all to see clearly whether that's what I want to do. And this was in 2020. And miraculously, I get a sabbatical. And my sabbatical is due to start 1st of March, 2020. And then we all know what happens. Lockdown, COVID. And so my sabbatical plans go in the bin, and I can't do what I want to do. I can't test any concept. Everyone's locked in their house. So I have to go back to work after my sabbatical is over, feeling, I wasn't quite the sabbatical I wanted. And then I think serendipity. Sometimes you think one door closes, but actually another opens. And what happened to me is Coca Cola, after lockdown and COVID, was really difficult financially. And they decided to make everyone, 100% of the personnel, redundant.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And I'd been there 15 years, and I thought, maybe that is my door closing, another opens. Maybe I need that, because otherwise it's going to be hard for me to just unplug it. So I decided to take the package and go and set up my business. So that was really the opportunity, and I guess I never looked back since.
Yeah, are you happy with your decision? I'm kind of asking because. So I've got a daughter, and I want, despite of like coming from Romania, I kind of grew up with similar mentality, that entrepreneurship it's very complicated. It's almost like a lottery, it just stay away from it, get a secure job and all that. And I want to teach her the opposite, or like work in a startup when you have low risks, especially early age. You'll have time for job security later because you have nothing to lose. So do you have any regrets? Because obviously you make this change like quite late.
Later in life, yeah. I'm not a person who has regrets, because I think I try to say yes a lot of the time when I feel I want to do something. So at the time when I started and I got my degrees, I really wanted to work in the corporate world, and I wanted to be in big fancy offices, and I wanted to wear high heels, and I wanted to have a business card. So, I got that. And so, no, I don't have the regrets. And I actually think there's a lot of transferable skills. I was lucky to work in massive corporation who had lots of processes and system and training, which really set me up for success. As an entrepreneur. So that's my personal story. I mean, maybe it's not the case for everyone, but I actually think that the structure of a big company, the fact that I was managing hundreds of millions of budgets, I could deal with money. I was managing 33 leaders across multiple geographies. I could deal with people management and matrix system and reporting. Like I'd done all that before. So it felt I had to do less when I was doing my own business. It was simpler reporting, the trainer coming in, should I do this? Yes. It was one person deciding, at Coke, when I was working on Coca Cola Christmas campaign, I had 100 stakeholders, to check everyone was happy. So it felt easier in a way because I had freedom and I was the only one in control. So I could be a lot faster. I could get things done.
Because that's one of the things I think the corporate world doesn't really have is speed, right? Because it's always like so many approvals, so many people involved, and you have like 100 meetings till you decide something. I see it with what I do here. If I let's say dream about something at 5 a.m., by 7 a.m. I can start implementing it without asking anybody.
Yes. Yeah, being nimble is actually one of the important traits as an entrepreneur. You want to be fast and one idea, and tomorrow you change idea. Doesn't matter. Just go with it. You can implement and iterate and learn, and just I like that actually. I like that fast pace, high freedom.
So coming from the corporate world helped you a lot, obviously, in what you do now. It gave you almost like a mindset, how to apply things. You've been through that training with them. But do you think coming to Jersey you almost came with an unfair advantage? I'm asking this because you've been here 2 years and you've done so much. People know about you. You're already in bigger circles. You involve with TEDx. You involved with TechX, with schools, bigger companies, so on.
It's funny you say that because when we took the decision to come to Jersey, my whole support system, my friends, my ex-colleagues, they were all saying, Gaëlle, this is a career suicide. Like, you're in central London, you have every company there. You're going to go to a place that's less people, less brands, less businesses. Why would you want to go there? So I was going with a very low expectation because my surroundings, and I didn't know anyone in Jersey, so I didn't have a reputation to go with. I just liked the idea to live on an island, and I liked the fact that it was close to France, close to England, but I didn't know the corporate world so much. So I went with this, Gaëlle, it might be a lesser version of you here, but let's see. I kept an open mind. And then I have just been absolutely welcomed with open arms by everyone. I think this is like the beauty of a small, tight community. I have never experienced a sense of community like I have here. I feel like people have the time, make an effort. They knew I was new. They were like, come and introduce you to such and such. Everywhere in the world, we talk about 7 degrees of separation. I think here is 2. I think everyone knows everyone. It's like, oh, you want to know the boss of this? I know someone who knows someone, So I think very quickly, it felt very easy to access people because it is a lot smaller. And I felt the community was very welcoming and very open and very generous in wanting me to thrive and to make friends and to create a business. So I feel, it's not even 2 years, it'll be 2 years in January, but I feel like I have grown roots myself as a professional, but I think as a family as well, my kids, we've all taken roots. So we feel very at home, and we have a flat in London, and we thought we might keep it just in case we're not quite happy here. And I feel like, no, actually, I can cut loose. Let's sell the London flat. Very happy here. So, no, I think Jersey is very special and very warm. And so it felt very easy to be welcome there.
Now, going back to leadership, and if we are to diagnose, the corporate world now, what sort of leaders we have, and what sort of leaders should we have? What's the situation in that area? Because I think you're going to have an interesting insight.
So I would even zoom out even more, like just look at the world. Because, the corporate is one subsection of the leadership. What kind of world are we living in right now? And what leaders are holding up the microphone and taking our attention and disseminating their ideas. And from my point of view, I think it's It's a very dark world. I think we have very dark model of leadership right now, taking the lead and being stronger, louder than the rest. And, we have the wars, we have the economic crisis, we've had COVID. I mean, it's just a non-stop series of dark moments. But obviously, when we have dark moments, we have opportunity to light a candle and be the light. So I'm always a glass half full type of girl. So I really think, and that's why I'm committed and passionate about really helping people understand that they have power, that they can be a leader, and that they can be part of making a better world, that we can all co-create a better world with your unique skill set and superpowers. If you step in your power, you can be a leader and you can inspire others, and the ripple effect can start. So yeah, I'm not quite happy with the type of leaders that are getting the media coverage and the kind of message. I think a lot is unethical. It's not really good role model for the next generation. And I see it with the work that I do with schools. So I have a program called The Art of Leadership that I roll out in schools. And the problem is, especially if we have a gender gap right now, and we don't want that to widen, when girls see the type of alpha male, dominating, unethical, lying, personal egos driving the agenda, they're like, well, surely I'm not a leader because I'm not like him. So they're going to self-opt out. They're going to be like, leadership is not for me. So my work is to say, look, they're not it.
Put a positive light on it,
like
because it
leadership
can be
is
positive.
something else. Let me tell you about it. It's something else. Let's redefine leadership together so that you feel that there is a space for you in that new definition. So yeah, it's a dark place, but I think we all have a role to play. I think that's what we need. We can't wait for someone else to do it. We can't wait for a savior. I think the sense of confidence in politicians and CEOs and these high-powered people is down. People don't trust that they have the world, the planet, the people at the core of, I want to help these people. I think a lot of them are very financially driven. They just want to profit for them. And I think we need a new system. We need a new economic equation of what it is that we should pursue, whether you're in the corporate world, whether you're a politician. There should be some mandate of, you cannot have an idea unless it's going to have a positive impact on the planet. You cannot have an idea or project a company unless it's going to have a positive impact socially. I think we need new rules. And I love Kate Howarth and her donut economics. She is kind of British economics, and she is really looking at what are the new 21st century rules that we need to teach the kids and the adult like us, that this should be the new benchmark. So I try to take that spirit in my program and sort of try to rewrite what's needed right now to make this place, this world, this community, this island, wherever you are, to make it better.
Yeah, but you touched on not having the right idols because, the ones that are bad, they have a stronger voice at this point. What are other barriers, that are holding back the next generation of leaders? What do you think is that?
Well, there's two types of barriers. One is external barriers. So what's happening in the world systematically, so systems. And then there's internal barriers. What's going on inside your world, inside your house, inside your mind. So if we look at the system, the external barriers, for girls, there's a lot of barriers. I mean, for boys and men, you guys have ruled the world for centuries. So there's not that many barriers. You know how to play the game. You go to golf clubs, you shake hands, you go for drinks, you go for whiskeys, you do your thing. There's it's a codified way. For girls, there's barriers everywhere. We are underrepresented. We don't have, we're not quoted as much. We're not represented in movies. The heroes, maybe only 30% of the heroes are girls. So we don't have access to role models. And if you're an older woman, there's even less representation. It's all this cult of, youth. So you can exist as a woman if you look youthful. And then if you get old, forget it, we're not interested. So I'm also very passionate. I've turned 50 this year. I also want to stand for it's okay to age. Let's stop talking about anti-aging. Let's be pro-life. Let's be pro.
We all age. Like it's kind of weird.
Why would women not be allowed to age? This is so unfair. So there's so many systemic barriers for women to flourish at any time. STEMs we're underrepresented. It's a male-dominated world. My daughter is passionate about Formula One, for example. We see it. Women, only 5 women ever drove a Formula One. This has been going on forever, and only 5 women had access to that. Same in finance, same in CEOs. We still have only 1 in 3 of the position in power available to women. So it's a closed circle that seems to sort of exclude us. And so we just need to have representation and access to every level, because sometimes we get access to the first level, but then we don't get access to the top level. It gets thinner at the top. So we just need to keep pushing. And so that's the external systematic issue. But then we have our own problems. What we've been told as a conditioning, women should stay small. Don't say anything that's going to be upsetting. You stay pretty and nice. Don't go dirty your dress. Don't take risks. And so we've been conditioned to stay small, not say much. Don't disturb the status quo. You don't have a place. So we need to obviously foster an environment where we're more pushing the girls to make mistakes. One of the main things that's holding girls and women back is that we want to be perfect. But meanwhile, boys fall and come back down and get messy on football pitches. And we need to sort of go out and do collective sports and learn that it's okay to fall and crash and burn and then just get back up. So there's a lot to do with the environment of girls and women, and there's a lot to do in the mental. I do a lot of research on what it takes to be confident from a girls and women point of view. There's 17 confidence killers, and we're very good at sort of
hitting them all.
And, just playing with them and just, this is our favorite vocabulary. So there's a lot of mental fitness. And that's a big chunk of what I do is coaching women, is empowering women, training women and girls to really have a better inner dialogue so that they are their own best friends and not their worst enemy. Girls can be very tough on themselves, very critical. And sometimes that continue in adulthood. So we've got to be our best friends so that we could go out there and make a difference and dare to apply for these top jobs or become entrepreneurs or whatever it is that you want to do. Set up that charity, whatever.
So from what I'm hearing, there is a different approach. If let's say you want to teach boys to be leaders, then teach girls to be leaders, right? Just because some of them come with their own thoughts ready-made, like you were talking about the 17 points.
Confidence killers, yeah.
Yeah, confidence killers.
Yes.
So you probably see that more in women than in men.
Oh, totally.
So then you got to approach it differently, right?
Totally. I think men have been nurtured for centuries to go and take risk, to be the leader, to try, to fail. It's and there's not so much as well. Men is, regardless of your look, you've been pushed to be at the top of a company. You're not judged if you're bald. You're not judged if you're all wrinkled. You're not judged if you have a beer belly. But women were judged if we don't look perfect, if we've aged, all of that. It's a no. You've got to always be perfect. And it's a lot of pressure for women. So yes, you're right. There's very different training needs when it comes to shaping leaders, and that's why I'm very interested in having a gender lens in my training. I'm also very interested in having a social mobility lens. A lot of people think that they can't be leaders because they don't come from wealth. They don't come from families where the parents were entrepreneur or successful businessman or CEOs, and they think, well, I didn't have that, so it's coded in me. I don't have it, and actually, it's not right. It's like a skill. You've got to train to be confident. You've got to train to be a leader. And if you do all the right things, you are it. Just like a football skill. You don't know how to dribble when you're born, you learn. Same for leadership. It's trainable. So regardless of your background, if you're listening, you can make it. You can be a leader. Leaders are made.
But what can companies do? When we're talking about, let's keep it even in Jersey, or we can go again, zooming out to the world in terms of changing this, because you hear a lot every now and then, this program, that program. Some companies do it just because they pretend they want to change something, and it's their name associated to a positive change, but they actually don't follow the steps internally. Sometimes, they just want to, they just want to look good, if that makes sense.
Yes. So I think, like we say, it takes a village to raise a child. I really think that it's a societal effort that's required to shape the next generation of leaders. So whether it's the government can say, I'm going to change the education system. They have a role to play. The corporate has a role to play. Who am I going to hire? Who am I going to promote? Who am I going to put in the newspaper? Who am I going to send to be the speaker? Please, more women, let's profile women so that we have more role model, diverse and inclusive role model. Then schools, of course, have a role to play. What are we teaching the next generation? Then parents have a role to play. What are the messages that the kids are hearing at home over and over again? Are they empowering messages or disempowering messages? Because you can train someone in a corporate, but if they've heard, for 20 years of their life, a different message, that's going to be harder than if they've heard the same message. And then obviously there's kind of the sort of charitable, not-for-profit, they can also play a role. They can deliver free training. Last night I was out and I was lucky to meet a double gold medalist of the Olympics. And she was telling me how she was super fortunate. It was almost by chance that she became an athlete and a champion. That there was this program, which was a non-profit program, where they had a program called Girls for Gold, and they were looking out for girls to have gold medals in the Olympics. And so they went to schools and they measured their torso and the size of their arm, and they made them do different tests and physical strength. And then I said, yeah, we see potential in you. We're going to take you to this Girl for Gold program. And then she became twice gold medalist thanks to this program. So I think, everyone has a role to play. The parents saying, yes, you can, my darling, go for it. Say yes to that program. Don't opt out because you don't see yourself as like a skeleton champion. Or the school saying, yes, I'll give you time off for you to do this program. It's important. It could change your life. Or the nonprofit that says, there isn't a program. I'm going to go and ask the government to fund this program and I'm going to create it. So everyone plays a role. It really is like it takes a family to raise a child. Same continues in our life. We need an ecosystem of activists, of change makers, of passionate people who want to help make this place. One person cannot do it alone.
But then, what can men do to help? I know you've probably, in most cases, it actually don't, and they do quite the opposite, pushing women away from leadership. But what can they do almost like proactively to help with this? Because you kind of touched on along the way, like with the support and everything else, promote them internally. Let's say if you're a company, if you are in school, give them that power, like teach them that they can do. Same in family. But is there something specific, let's say even as a husband, let's say I want to help my wife, go that journey. Is there something we can do?
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. So I think that's really an important point that you're raising, is that we cannot do this alone. The point that I said that it was kind of across an ecosystem, the same goes for gender. It's not like I'm kind of advocating for women to be alone and that's it. No, like we need to rise together. We need an allyship between men and women, between boys and girls. We need to support one another when we know I'm really good at this, you're not really good at this, let me help you. So men, you guys are really good at taking risks. So maybe you can say, go on, let's try. What's the worst that can happen? I'm there, nothing bad is going to happen. So, the things that you excel at, maybe it's about speaking in public and say, I want to hear your points. It's about just always giving them
giving them the chance
the
to
microphone,
have a say, right?
Yes. So what do you think? So that, the dominant voices suddenly become more equal. So yeah, there's a lot of little things, in conversation, women often get cut a lot more than men. So if you're in a teamwork and a woman is speaking, try not to cut her. Or if she's made a good point, often another man will say the same. And another man will say it. And then everyone will say, oh, well done, Michael. But the woman said it before. So there's also like an intellectual honesty that if a woman says something great, let's like give her credit.
Recognize it, yeah.
Because I think it's something like in all quotes, we only represent like 10%. Like we are not quoted. So actually, if a woman says something right, quote a woman. You know, like we need to sort of and boost their confidence. You know, to say yes, you can. You know, I love you. You're great, because internally their voice is saying something else. So showering with compliments, you can do this, having their back, opening the door literally to say, go ahead. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Giving them a platform, the opportunity. Mentoring them,
There's something, it's funny you mentioned quotes, because I have one that is always in my mind, which I heard a while back. I can't remember exactly the author, but he was a man. You're totally right. And he says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. I mean, I guess this could very well go with women, but this is the quote. I'm just kind of like putting exactly how it is. Do you think we are currently in the phase of weak leadership?
I definitely think that we have a leadership crisis. I definitely think so. I think we don't always set up women for success. If you look at the world of politics, you know, Theresa May, you know, gain access, but why? Because no one else wanted the job. It was such a dirty setup, you know? So I think we've got to set women up for success and give them jobs that they can actually do a good job at, because if we set them up for failure, then of course we're not doing anyone a favor. So I think there is a leadership crisis. I think we need more diversity, more representation from women, from just differences, like different skin color, faith, just more diversity, more inclusion. You know, like the world is a divisive world at the moment, where we're trying to rule by fear. I think that's potentially the worst that a society could do. We really need to be united again. So anyone and anything in terms of initiatives, projects, idea that unify, that we are all in this together, and that it's better together than alone and fighting, for me is a good thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, the way I see diversity is, I don't know if it's different than what other people see, but is not necessarily giving somebody else's, like a woman, an Asian, Afro-American or whatever, head start. Is giving them the same start like the others.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah, and then whoever is more capable, then should go further, right? I think that's the idea, right?
That's it. And I think the other thing that I sometimes get asked is, you know, if women rise, men fall. It's like, no. It's not a seesaw. We're not playing seesaw. It's we rise together. There will be better outcome. Actually, it's proven that teams function better when they're diverse, when they have people that are neurodiverse on the team. Effectiveness goes up by 30%. So we know that diversity is good. Imagine the world with only one type of bird, the same color. Imagine a world where it was just all the flowers are the same type, one color. Imagine a world where there was just one type of tree and it was just the same tree everywhere. It's boring. You know, the world, nature, is diverse by nature, is designed to be diverse. So let's reconcile that concept and say we are diverse, we're all different. That's great. That is something to celebrate and rejoice, and not try to push each other up and down. And Yeah,
you look like you've got everything figured out in your life. But I'm just wondering, if you're taking your coach hat off, is there anything that you wrestling with in your life when it comes to leadership, when it comes to dealing with men? And actually, I think well, I don't know. I mean, you tell me, but I feel like, big companies, big corporate, like you used to work before, you probably had these challenges like again and again, and you probably form like a thick skin along the way. But is there something that you're still dealing with today that you feel like, what, I've got a challenge here?
Yeah, there's so much to say about this, but which one should I go? Which one should I pick? Maybe two. One, I feel that as a woman, the responsibility of caring for the house and the children still falls on my shoulder, even though I feel very equal to my husband. He's very supportive, he wants me to do well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's still my responsibility. It feels like.
Yeah.
Because, he can say, well, I've got this big meeting. I've got to go to New York for a week. Then I'm the one who has to stay and do it all, right? So I still feel, but then again, I feel I love my kids and I love that job. So, part of me is, maybe it's in my DNA. I'm not a better carer, but I'm designed to care because,
as a mother, I think you have a different attachment.
That's my design in my body. I gave birth to them. I carried them for 9 months. So actually, it's something, would I wish it any different? Would I want to be the one away? And, maybe not, So it's like, I don't know. It's like
not really
I'm wrestling
problem.
with that concept. It's like, it's not quite fair, but I really like it. So there's that one. And then the other one is I'm always chasing for something I don't have, like, oh my God, the problems. Like the current one, the very present for me right now is I have very little experience in fundraising. I mean, I have done it for the first time this year, but, that is not a transferable skills. I have never really had to fundraise in the corporate world because
money was there.
Money was there. I mean, yes, I had to pitch for it at budget time. I had to say, I want 3 million.
But it's
for
different when
this.
you do it internally, right?
But now I have to fundraise a lot, and I'm like, I feel I'm frustrated by the time that it takes, and I'm like, is there a school for fundraising? I want to sign up. Please, someone give me your top tips on this. So that's one thing that I'm like, I wish someone gave me the training on that one, mentored me or something. So I'm kind of learning the hard way. But there's always something, it just changes depending on what's more important right now. And you think, okay, I've done that one, tick, move on. And then something else comes up that you don't know. And you're like, oh, okay. So I think, being in sort of coaching and training, there's always something else for me that I need to get better at. But I think it's a lifelong learning journey. We're forever learning, hopefully. And there's always something that's a new skill, a new mindset, a new habit. So this year, I'm really happy that I've managed to embed a new habit. And that makes up for last year, because last year I definitely didn't do anything at all. I love yoga, but last year I did zero yoga, zero. And I felt so bad at the end of the year that I was like, how can I disconnect myself from something I love so much that I know is good for me? And so this year, I was like, okay, I'm definitely doing half an hour yoga every morning in my own house. I don't have to go to a class, and I do this. So I am very happy because, we're almost the end of the year, and I have literally every day done half an hour of yoga. So I've committed to that, and I've got this new habit, and it's so good for me. I feel great. It's a great way to start the day. I have a clear mind, a body that's open and loose and flexible that sets you up for success for the day. So I'm constantly looking to optimize my energy levels, the clarity of my mind. And I guess we're all wanting to be in peak state, right? You want to be awake, you want to be alive, and you want to be doing your best work so that you're productive. So I'm kind of always optimizing on that front.
You talked about new habit, and I think this is it's very important to leaders, in my opinion. And the thing is, it's even more complicated, I think, when you work for yourself, because you need to have yourself accountable. And if let's say, you don't do it, there's nobody really there to be like, you've not done it. So you need to be the person that's like, well, you've not done it, let's do it.
Yes.
So it's almost like having that
you need
internal...
to have like appointments, appraisal appointment,
internal
or boss
fight.
appointment. It's like, okay, what have you done that was on your to-do list today? Did you not? Okay, let's be honest here. Yes, but I think also... it's very important for people who work in a very isolated environment, like you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, just you. Then I think mentorship is really interesting, a really interesting concept to look at. Make sure that you zoom out and be able to helicopter view of, what's going on. Sometimes we're too close. We're too close to our work. So I think mentorship is really good. I think obviously coaching is very good. Having someone who's on your side, but not in the day-to-day of your work, and say, what are the big important things that are going to be the game changer for you? How do you need to prepare for them? How do you need to start chasing the right battle and the right thing for your business? So I think there's a lot of things that a solopreneur can do to make sure that they don't feel that they're alone. And obviously, I'm a big fan of podcasts. So there's so much great learning out there on podcasts. And I'm forever listening to podcasts to my kids' despair at breakfast. And they're like, Mom, turn off your podcast. We want music. I'm like, but this is so interesting. So there's podcasts. There's loads of books that you can learn and read. And there's here in Jersey, there's loads of community events, so many, attend, because I was new in Jersey, I was in a yes mode, and I'm still in a yes mode. I say yes to a lot of things, and I want to meet lots of people. So make sure that you have a rich fabric and a rich network of people, because actually, I don't know if you've read the Harvard study, the longest longitudinal study, 85 years they've been studying what makes people successful and happy at the end of their lives. They follow them all their life. And it's not money and it's not titles. It's the circle of friends that you surround yourself with and your family. It's like your closest circle is what makes you happy. So be social, go out there, meet people, meet like-minded people, because you become like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you're a solopreneur, make sure that you go and spend time with people who are on their A game, who are ahead of you in the process, and they can sort of, sprinkle some golden dust and top tips along the way, so that you feel supported and you feel you have buddies and you have people that understand your quest and support you in your quest.
What's the future of leadership? Like, what do you think the leadership will look like in 5-10 years from now? Women, men, all together,
How much have you got and how long have you got? Well, I think it's very interesting, because obviously the buzzword at the moment is AI. So do I think that AI are going to replace human? Yes, in a lot of places they will. Do I think that we want a society where AI replace humanity? No. So we've got to be very careful in how we design AI. And I think we need to create space for human to exist, and for human to make a difference, and for human to feel valued. So yes, what does future leadership look like? I think we will be equipped with great technological advances and devices. But I think we need to make sure that we invest in ourselves to stay relevant. So that's the big piece of work that I've done over the past 6 months, is to think about the 30 essential skills that every leader must hone and cultivate and develop and nurture along the way to stay relevant and to stay human and to stay needed at work, as an entrepreneur, in society. Because we have a lot of added value. There's a lot of things that AI cannot do, and we must be very confident that this is not up for grab. I'm heartbroken when I hear that the next generation, 85% of them, are ready to have a romantic relationship with an AI bot. And in Japan, they got married to an AI bot. I mean, that breaks my heart. I'd like to think that actually there's nothing better than a moment like that, a conversation with another human, a hug with a real human. That, yes, it might be bruising to try to date someone if you're single, because you might get rejected. But I still think that's better than falling in love with an AI bot. So I think we've got to be very careful and conscious leaders in how we design society and systems and companies and teams, that yes, AI will be on the side, but we shouldn't let it take over and replace us.
Yeah, you touch on younger generation, but Gaëlle at 25 or at 20, what would be one advice, that you give her, to make a bigger impact in the world? Like, how would you think, at 25, having a different mindset would have changed what you are today, maybe?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably don't be afraid of change. I think it's very easy to, once you're somewhere and life is good, to want to hold on to that and not change. But I think we grow and we test our resilience and we understand how much more we are capable of when we're willing to change and rock the whole boat. And, you know, for me, like the move to Jersey is a reminder that, you know, I didn't think I needed change. I could not see that it was going to be better for me. I could see how it would be better lifestyle for the family, but I was ready to take a hit for me, for the common good, but actually ended up being better for me. So I think maybe sometimes I think change, you know, what I have right now is good. Why would I rock the boat for something that may be better, but maybe not? And now I think I want to tell my previous self, and still myself, that don't be afraid of change. That change is good, and you're going to learn so much by changing stuff, and you're going to discover that you've got more to give than you think. And so for anyone out there listening, I would say, yeah, don't be afraid, don't be fearful. Change is good, and actually nothing is constant. Change is everywhere, and everything always changes. So just go with it and open the door to change.
What's one takeaway, you know, our viewers and listeners should take from today's conversation in terms of like, how can they become better leaders today? I know it's a longer process, but how can they start? You obviously touch on change. Be comfortable with change, I think, is a big one. Is there anything else?
The big one for me, well, there's two big ones, is authenticity. So don't be afraid to be yourself, and actually, please be yourself, be you. We need as many role models as possible. Your point of view, your culture, your experience, your unique life story is what's required. Is going to add color, smell, touch to the fabric of society. Don't try to be like everyone else, you know, just go shine your own light, your own colors. And then the second thing is do whatever is required to build your confidence, you know, like authenticity and confidence, because the world needs you. If inside you don't feel that, then do what you've got to do to feel confident and go out there. And the first thing you could say is mantras, and say, I can do this. I've got what it takes. I've got all I need inside me. And repeat these over and over again until they are your truth. And then you're going to start feeling more confident. So that's just one little tip. There's so much more. I've got a whole training, 12 hours of it, to boost your confidence. But that's a quick takeaway for now.
For people that want to know more about you, get in touch with you, understand, you know, your journey, because now you're getting involved, or you are already involved in so many things. Where can they find you?
So LinkedIn is one of my favorite platforms. So Gaëlle Deschamps is...
We'll leave some links in the description.
Connect with me on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, and I love to have new connections on LinkedIn. You can come and see my website, gforceco.co.uk, and reach me that way. Yeah, I think that's the easiest. I've got Gaëlle at gforceco.co.uk, my email address as well. But yeah, or just come and see me in the streets if you see me at events.
Yeah.
Come and talk to me. I'm very approachable and always happy to go for coffee, teas, and lunches, and discover new people and meet new people. So,
Gaëlle, it was an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed today's conversation. It was different. I mean, the pace you're moving, I think if we bring you back in a year time, we'll have another, probably a full day of conversations just about what happened in a year time.
No, you know what I would like? If any one of your listeners listening, my one request to the universe is, if you know anyone who's passionate, maybe not as passionate as me, but someone who's passionate about gender equality or leadership, send them my way, recommend them, because as I said, I can't do it alone. And the more like-minded people I have on my side co-creating this, the faster the results. So, because I'd like to come back in a year's time and say, oh, we've taken it there.
Yeah, we need more
we
people.
Need funding. We need funding. We need plenty of people.
More people to that village.
Yes. So yeah, absolutely. Send people my way, and I'll come back in a year's time with pleasure, Radu. It was a great conversation. Really enjoyed it. Love your enthusiasm for it.
Thank you.
I love you're such a sweet husband, a great dad, and you want to
support
the woman of your world, and it's just wonderful. So I hope that you got something personally as well.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, whenever the editing happens and I go through the whole thing again, it's a constant reminder for me, and then it goes out and then I watch it. So it's no way that with every single guest, I get a takeaway out of the conversation. I get something, that's changing, the way I think.
Yeah, I think you have a great job, meeting interesting people, thought leaders.
It's great.
And get to ask them questions, and, then you get what you want as well out of it.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you very much for having me. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you soon somewhere on the island.
Absolutely. Thank you.